My dear friends, as we step into 2026, I want to start with a simple but life-changing reminder. If you don't focus on yourself, life will focus you in ways you won't like. Too often we waste our energy looking at others, their achievements, their journeys, their results. But today I want you to pause, breathe, and remember that your greatest project, your greatest responsibility, and your greatest investment is you. Focusing on progress rather than perfection is one of the most powerful shifts a person can make, especially in a world where perfection is glorified and small efforts often go unnoticed. When we set the expectation that everything we do must be flawless, we unknowingly build a wall between ourselves and our goals. Perfection becomes a trap, something that appears noble but in reality delays action, fuels doubt, and stops growth before it even begins. Progress, however, is about movement. It is about showing up consistently, even if the steps are small, imperfect, or uncertain. When you choose progress over perfection, you choose momentum over hesitation, learning over fear, and improvement over stagnation. People often wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect situation before they begin something meaningful. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion that keeps people stuck in planning mode instead of action mode. Progress teaches you that clarity comes through doing, not delaying. The more you take small steps, the more you learn what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. It is through imperfect attempts that confidence grows. Instead of asking, "Is this perfect?" start asking, "Is this better than yesterday?" That single shift transforms pressure into purpose. Progress also helps you appreciate the journey instead of obsessing over the destination. When you focus only on the end result, you miss the valuable lessons hidden in the process. You overlook the resilience built through challenges, the discipline developed through consistency, and the insight gained from every mistake. Growth is rarely linear, and progress respects that reality. It allows you to evolve naturally, at your own pace, without forcing yourself into unrealistic expectations. You begin to understand that excellence is not about being flawless. It's about being better today than you were yesterday. Another important aspect of focusing on progress is the reduction of mental and emotional stress. Perfection demands that everything must go exactly as planned, leaving no room for human error. This leads to anxiety, self-criticism, and burnout. On the other hand, progress embraces humanity. It allows you to be a learner, not a flawless performer. When you measure growth instead of perfection, you start celebrating small victories, and these victories compound into greater achievements. You start acknowledging effort, not just outcomes, and that mindset creates long-term motivation. When you live with a progress-focused approach, you stop judging yourself harshly for not meeting unrealistic standards. Instead, you replace self-criticism with self-awareness. You begin to ask healthier questions. What did I learn today? How can I improve tomorrow? What can I let go of that is slowing me down? This reflection becomes a powerful tool that accelerates growth far more effectively than chasing perfection ever could. Progress becomes a habit, and habits shape your identity. Choosing progress also builds resilience. When you are not obsessed with doing everything perfectly, you become more tolerant of setbacks. Instead of quitting when something goes wrong, you adapt and keep moving. You stop seeing mistakes as failures and start seeing them as stepping stones. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. Over time, this resilience becomes one of your greatest assets, making you capable of achieving goals that once seemed impossible. In the end, progress is empowering. It reminds you that every effort counts, every improvement matters, and every small step brings you closer to your dreams. When you stop waiting for perfection and start valuing progress, your mindset transforms, your confidence rises, and your life begins to move in the direction you truly desire. Comparing yourself to others is one of the fastest ways to lose focus, confidence, and inner peace. In a world where everyone's achievements are displayed publicly and instantly, it is easy to feel like you are not doing enough. But the truth is, comparison is not a measure of your worth. It is a distraction that pulls you away from your own path. When you compare less and focus on improving more, you gain control over your growth instead of letting external accomplishments dictate your self-esteem. The goal is not to be better than someone else. The goal is to be better than the person you were yesterday. Because real improvement is personal, not competitive. People often forget that what they see in others is only the highlight reel, not the journey. They see the success but not the struggles, the results but not the sacrifices, the victories but not the endless days of quiet effort. When you compare your behind the scenes to someone else's public moment, you create an unfair and unrealistic judgment of your own progress. Focusing on improvement shifts your attention back to what truly matters: your habits, your discipline, your mindset, and your goals. It reminds you that growth is not about racing others, but about refining yourself at your own pace. When you stop comparing, you create mental clarity. Your energy no longer gets wasted on worrying about what others are doing. Instead, it becomes available for creativity, productivity, and self-development. Comparison drains motivation, but self-improvement generates it. You begin to see challenges as opportunities to grow, not as evidence that you are behind. You start noticing your strengths instead of obsessing over someone else's. You understand that every person has a unique journey, shaped by different experiences, timelines, and circumstances. Trying to measure your progress against theirs is not only unfair, it is meaningless. Focusing on improvement also deepens self-awareness. You begin to evaluate yourself based on where you want to go, not where others are. You ask better questions. What skills should I develop? What habits do I need to change? What mindset will help me grow? These questions lead to actionable insights that comparison can never give. Improvement requires honesty, discipline, and patience, qualities that bring long-term success. The more you invest in them, the stronger and more confident you become. Another important benefit of focusing on improvement is emotional resilience. Comparison often leads to jealousy, self-doubt, and frustration, which weaken your ability to handle setbacks. But when your energy is directed toward becoming a better version of yourself, you build inner strength. You start handling challenges with maturity instead of insecurity. Even when someone else succeeds, you are able to celebrate them without feeling threatened, because you understand that their success does not take anything away from your potential. Growth is not a limited resource. There is enough room for everyone to succeed. As you focus more on your own improvement, you also begin to recognize and appreciate your own progress. You notice the small wins that once went ignored. You acknowledge the consistency that once felt insignificant. You celebrate the habits you built, the knowledge you gained, and the discipline you strengthened. These moments build confidence from the inside out. They remind you that you are evolving every day, even if the world does not see it yet. Improvement is quiet at first, but it becomes powerful over time. Ultimately, choosing to compare less and improve more allows you to live with purpose instead of pressure. It frees your mind from unnecessary stress and allows you to channel your energy toward meaningful growth. When you focus on building yourself, the results naturally follow. Your journey becomes more fulfilling, your mindset becomes stronger, and your life becomes aligned with the person you are striving to become. Protecting your peace is one of the most valuable commitments you can make to yourself, especially in a world where noise, opinions, and pressures constantly compete for your attention. Peace is not simply the absence of problems. It is the presence of clarity, emotional stability, and inner strength. When you protect your peace, you safeguard your mind from unnecessary distractions, negativity, and chaos. This allows you to think more clearly, act more intentionally, and live more meaningfully. People often underestimate the power of inner peace, yet it is the foundation on which all productive decisions, healthy relationships, and personal growth are built. Many people allow their peace to be disturbed by situations that do not deserve their time or energy. They engage in arguments that lead nowhere, hold on to relationships that drain them, and entertain thoughts that weaken their confidence. Protecting your peace means learning to step back, observe, and choose your responses wisely. It is about understanding that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every comment deserves your attention. Sometimes the most powerful reaction is no reaction at all. When you stop letting unnecessary chaos pull you in, you gain the ability to stay calm even amid pressure. A major part of protecting your peace involves setting boundaries, emotionally, mentally, and even digitally. It means being selective about who you allow into your life and how much access they have to your emotions. Some people uplift you, while others constantly drain your energy. Peace requires the courage to say no when needed, to walk away when something is harmful, and to distance yourself from environments that do not support your growth. Boundaries do not make you selfish, they make you wise. They prevent burnout and preserve your mental clarity. Protecting your peace also means learning to control your internal dialogue. One negative thought can spiral into a chain of doubt if not managed carefully. Your mind is your sanctuary, and what you allow to grow there shapes your entire life. When you fill your thoughts with worry, comparison, and fear, peace becomes impossible. But when you cultivate self-compassion, gratitude, and patience, you build a stable inner world that no external situation can easily shake. The stronger your inner environment becomes, the less power external negativity has over you. Another important aspect of maintaining peace is letting go. Letting go of grudges, unrealistic expectations, and situations you cannot change. Holding on to resentment or disappointment keeps your mind heavy and unsettled. When you let go, you free yourself from emotional burdens that block your happiness. Forgiveness is not about excusing someone's actions. It is about releasing your soul from the weight of bitterness. Letting go makes space for clarity, balance, and healthier emotional patterns. In today's hyper-connected world, protecting your peace also requires discipline with technology. Constant notifications, social media comparisons, and the pressure to stay updated can overwhelm your mind. Sometimes the most peaceful thing you can do is disconnect. Stepping away from digital noise gives your brain room to breathe and helps you reconnect with what truly matters: your goals, your values, and your well-being. Additionally, protecting your peace involves understanding that you are not responsible for how others feel, react, or perceive you. You cannot control people's opinions, but you can control your responses. When you stop seeking approval and validation, you reclaim your emotional independence. Peace grows when you choose authenticity over external acceptance. When you stop explaining yourself unnecessarily or justifying your decisions to satisfy others, you begin living with greater freedom. Lastly, protecting your peace is a continuous commitment, not a one-time decision. It requires daily awareness, mindful choices, and emotional maturity. The more you prioritize your peace, the more you begin to recognize its value. You start to feel lighter, think clearer, and act with greater purpose. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop allowing temporary situations to disturb your long-term stability. Peace becomes not just a feeling, but a way of living, a personal standard you refuse to compromise. Choosing discipline over distraction is one of the most defining decisions for anyone who truly wants to transform their life. Discipline is not about forcing yourself into rigid routines. It is about aligning your actions with your goals, even when convenience or comfort tries to pull you in the opposite direction. Distractions are everywhere, on your phone, in your thoughts, in unproductive habits, and sometimes even in the people around you. They come disguised as entertainment, urgency, or temporary pleasure, but their long-term impact is the silent erosion of potential. Discipline, on the other hand, is the quiet architect of every meaningful success. It does not shout, it does not demand attention. It simply builds. And over time, what it builds becomes visible in your character, your achievements, and your confidence. Most people are not lacking talent or ambition. They are simply overwhelmed by distractions. These distractions steal time in small pieces, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and before you realize it, the day is gone with nothing valuable completed. Discipline protects your time by guiding your focus. It pulls you back to what matters, reminding you that temporary pleasure cannot replace long-term fulfillment. When you choose discipline consistently, you create a powerful identity built on reliability, commitment, and self-respect. You begin to trust yourself because you know you will do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel in the moment. Discipline also restructures your mindset. It helps you understand that motivation is fleeting, while structure is dependable. You will not wake up every day feeling inspired. But if you have discipline, you will show up anyway. Showing up is where growth happens. Not in perfect moments, but in ordinary moments when your mind whispers, skip it, and your discipline responds, do it anyway. Every time that happens, you strengthen the mental muscle that separates achievers from dreamers. Over time, discipline becomes your natural rhythm, making distractions less tempting and your goals more attainable. Another powerful aspect of choosing discipline is that it trains your brain to delay gratification. Every worthwhile achievement requires patience. Whether it's fitness, business, education, or personal development, results take time. Distraction offers quick pleasure, but leaves long-term emptiness. Discipline offers short-term effort, but leads to long-term satisfaction. When you delay gratification, you develop emotional intelligence, self-control, and clarity. You stop chasing quick highs and start building lasting success. You learn to value the process just as much as the outcome. Discipline also brings structure to your daily habits. It transforms chaos into order. Simple habits, waking up on time, planning your day, completing tasks, avoiding unnecessary scrolling, investing in learning, create a powerful momentum. These small disciplines compound over time. What begins as tiny improvements eventually becomes noticeable progress. And what becomes progress eventually becomes mastery. The compounding effect of disciplined behavior is one of the most underrated forces in personal development. It turns ordinary people into experts, leaders, innovators, and role models. Choosing discipline over distraction also requires the courage to say no. No to unhealthy habits. No to time-wasting activities. And sometimes even no to people who do not respect your goals. Saying no is not selfish, it is strategic. It protects your energy and ensures that your priorities receive the attention they deserve. Each time you say no to a distraction, you are saying yes to your future. You are saying yes to your growth, your goals, and your better self. One of the most significant benefits of discipline is the inner peace it creates. When you are disciplined, you stop feeling guilty about wasted time or neglected goals. Instead, you feel grounded, confident, and productive. You experience the satisfaction of knowing that you are moving forward, even if the steps are small. Discipline reduces stress because it removes chaos from your daily life. You become organized, intentional, and clear about your direction. Ultimately, disciplined people are not the ones who never face distractions. They are the ones who choose not to surrender to them. Every day you are presented with two choices, the easy way or the right way. Distraction offers comfort. Discipline offers growth. The more often you choose discipline, the more you strengthen the foundation of the life you are trying to build. Surrounding yourself with growth is one of the most strategic and transformative choices you can make for your personal and professional development. The environment you place yourself in, your relationships, conversations, habits, and daily influences shapes your mindset more than you realize. Human beings naturally absorb the attitudes, energy, and behaviors of the people they interact with regularly. When you are surrounded by individuals who inspire, uplift, and challenge you to be better, you naturally rise. But when you remain in environments filled with negativity, laziness, or complacency, you unconsciously adapt to those standards as well. Growth is not something that happens only through effort, it also happens through alignment. Placing yourself in the right atmosphere accelerates your progress far more than trying to grow alone in a space that holds you back. People often underestimate the power of association. You can have big dreams and immense talent, but if you spend most of your time with those who discourage ambition or belittle improvement, your confidence slowly weakens. On the other hand, when you spend time with people who think boldly, work with discipline, and aim for excellence, your perspective expands. You begin to believe that more is possible. You absorb the confidence, the drive, and the vision that they naturally radiate. Growth becomes easier because your environment supports it rather than resisting it. In many ways, your circle becomes your silent mentor. It shapes you even when no one is intentionally teaching you. Surrounding yourself with growth also means being intentional about the conversations you engage in. Conversations influence thoughts, and thoughts influence actions. If your daily conversations revolve around gossip, complaints, and negativity, your mind becomes cluttered with unproductive noise. But when your conversations revolve around ideas, goals, lessons, and solutions, your mind becomes sharper and more focused. You start viewing problems as challenges and challenges as opportunities. A growth-oriented conversation has the power to shift your entire mindset, giving you clarity, motivation, and direction. Another important aspect of surrounding yourself with growth is recognizing when you have outgrown certain environments. Not every space is meant to support your next level. Some friendships, habits, or routines served a purpose in the past, but no longer align with your future. It takes maturity to acknowledge this and courage to make necessary changes. Growth often requires letting go of relationships that drain you, habits that limit you, and spaces that keep you stagnant. You do not have to cut people out with hostility, but you do need to distance yourself with wisdom. Prioritizing your growth is not a betrayal of others, it is a commitment to yourself. Surrounding yourself with growth also involves seeking out mentors, even if they are not physically present. Mentors can be found in books, speeches, courses, or content that shapes your thinking. Consuming positive and educational information consistently can transform your mindset just as powerfully as direct mentorship. When you fill your mind with knowledge instead of noise, you elevate your understanding. You learn from others' experiences instead of repeating their mistakes. Growth becomes a continuous process rather than a short-term effort. You also surround yourself with growth by choosing activities that build you instead of break you. This could mean joining communities where people share similar ambitions, enrolling in programs that challenge your abilities, engaging in hobbies that stimulate creativity, or participating in discussions that expand your viewpoints. Every choice you make about how you spend your time influences who you become. The more intentionally you invest in environments that push you upward, the faster you evolve. A growth-oriented environment also enhances your discipline. When you see others striving, working hard and showing up consistently, it naturally motivates you to do the same. Their consistency becomes a mirror, reflecting what is possible when commitment and focus align. In such environments, excuses lose their power. You begin to adopt the habits and mindset of success simply by being exposed to them repeatedly. This is the power of elevation. When you rise because the atmosphere around you is too high for you to stay low, ultimately, placing yourself in environments of growth is not about finding perfect people. It is about surrounding yourself with individuals and influences that push you toward your highest potential. Growth happens faster, smoother, and more powerfully when your environment supports it. When you choose to surround yourself with people and spaces that nourish your mind, strengthen your character, and fuel your ambition, you set the stage for a future far greater than what you once believed possible. Trusting your timeline is one of the most liberating and empowering principles you can embrace. In a world obsessed with speed, comparison, and instant results, it is easy to feel as though you are behind or not progressing fast enough. But every person's journey is shaped by different experiences, opportunities, strengths, and lessons. No two paths are identical, and no person is meant to bloom at the exact same moment as someone else. When you trust your timeline, you remove the pressure of racing through life and allow yourself to grow with patience, depth, and intention. You begin to understand that progress is not measured by how quickly you move, but by how meaningfully you evolve. Many people struggle with the fear of falling behind. They look at others achieving milestones, career success, financial stability, relationships, recognition, and interpret someone else's progress as a reflection of their own lack. This mindset creates unnecessary anxiety and self-doubt. Trusting your timeline shifts your perspective from competition to clarity. It reminds you that what is meant for you will come at the right time, and no amount of rushing or comparing will change the season you are in. Growth requires timing. Just as nature has seasons for planting, nurturing, and harvesting, human growth also unfolds in phases. Some seasons in your life will feel slow and uncertain, while others will be filled with momentum and opportunity. Both are essential. When you trust your timeline, you develop emotional resilience. You stop allowing temporary delays to disturb your peace. Instead of reacting with frustration, you respond with understanding. Every challenge is teaching you something, and every detour is redirecting you towards something better. This mindset helps you stay grounded during difficult phases. You stop forcing outcomes and start focusing on becoming the person who is ready for the opportunities you seek. Trusting the process does not mean being passive. It means taking consistent action while remaining patient with the results. It is a combination of effort and faith, discipline and surrender. Trusting your timeline also means recognizing the value of preparation. Sometimes life delays your progress because you are not yet equipped with the knowledge, maturity, or emotional strength needed for the next step. These periods of waiting are not wasted time. They are refining time. They shape your character, strengthen your mindset, and prepare you for responsibilities that require a higher level of self-awareness. When your breakthrough finally comes, you will be able to sustain it because you spent a necessary time growing internally. Many people want success quickly, but forget that maintaining success requires depth, not just speed. Another powerful aspect of trusting your timeline is learning to appreciate your small steps. When you are not rushing, you begin to acknowledge the progress you make each day, even if it feels slow. You start valuing consistency over intensity, quality over speed, and authenticity over external pressure. You realize that meaningful growth often happens quietly, through small decisions, healthy habits, disciplined actions, and gradual improvements. These small steps accumulate into big transformations, but they require patience and faith. When you trust your timeline, you no longer rush the process, you respect it. Trusting your timeline also protects your mental and emotional well-being. When you stop comparing your pace to someone else's, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. You allow your mind to focus on what truly matters, your purpose, your growth, and your journey. You understand that rushing only leads to mistakes, exhaustion, and burnout. Patience, on the other hand, leads to clarity and sustainable progress. Life becomes less about proving something to others and more about becoming someone you are proud of. Another important element of trusting your timeline is embracing the uncertainty of life. There will be moments when things do not go as planned, when opportunities slip away, or when progress feels invisible. Instead of panicking, trusting your timeline allows you to adapt with grace. You realize that some things fall apart so better things can fall into place. You stop holding on to rigid expectations and start embracing flexibility. This mindset opens doors to new possibilities that you may have overlooked had you been fixated on speed or control. Trusting your timeline ultimately teaches you patience, gratitude, and resilience. It encourages you to stay committed to your goals while honoring the pace at which your life unfolds. When you trust that your journey is unfolding exactly as it should, you create a sense of peace that no external achievement can provide. You stop rushing toward the future and start appreciating the present moment. This shift transforms your mindset, strengthens your character, and allows you to build a life defined not by comparison, but by purpose and authenticity. So as you walk into 2026, walk with clarity, confidence, and commitment. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself, not for the world, not for applause, not for attention, but because you deserve to meet the person you are capable of becoming. May this be the year you rise, the year you transform, and the year you finally give yourself the focus you have always deserved. Thank you.